Good morning and welcome to Write With Me. I'm Danita Jones and also happy Friday. Made it through the entire week. So I do two 25-minute sprints here. And so it could be for writing or it could be for research or any productivity thing that you're trying to accomplish. So two 25-minute sprints with a 5 to 10-minute break in between. I'm continuing my research on Peter Crosby. I'm still in the Colonel Miller's testimony, but I will be done with that probably in the first sprint today. So, and then I will begin mapping out what going through my notes for the first 200 pages of the testimony. So I've gone through 200 pages of the congressional hearings, the testimonies in there, and I just want to start mapping out what I have already read through before I begin going through the remaining 300 pages of the testimony because it's like over 500 pages basically. So anyway, I'm excited about that and finally getting out of Colonel Miller's testimony. So let's get started. Okay, that is now completed. Woohoo. All right, so now, how do I want to begin this part? What is the best way to go about this part? Oh, okay, so I already have that set there. And beautiful. I've already started putting that in there. Okay. So I need to make sure I do that. That's okay. So should I? All righty. That is welcome, welcome. Drop in the chat what you're working on today. I am so happy. I just finished going through Colonel Miller's testimony. That was a beast. They interviewed him over 2 days, and it took me basically 3 weeks to, by just only doing this an hour a day from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. It took me 3 weeks to get through his entire testimony. And it was just so, I found it grueling because he, his testimony, there was a lot of contradictions between his testimony and other people's testimonies. And I feel that he really wasn't being truthful in a lot of it. And he would be asked one question and completely give a different answer to the question. So his was very tricky. He was a former slave owner, which, and then many people in the Vicksburg community were his former slaves too. So there's that. And he was leading the group of the people that attacked the Black people in the Vicksburg massacre. So saying out to say it was really hard getting through his testimony. It was even harder getting through his versus Dr. Shannon, who Dr. Shannon was just outright racist. His testimony, call a spade a spade. He just really put it all out there. We know who he is. But Colonel Miller tried to dress everything up as being like this above board type of person. So now what I'm doing now is I'm about to go through and just really map out my notes. I have, I went through the first 200 pages of the testimony of the congressional hearing. For those that don't know what I'm actually talking about, and I've been writing about researching for Peter Crosby, who was elective sheriff in 1873. He was formerly enslaved. And then in 1874, he was forced out of office by a mob of 600 people. And he went to the governor, Ames, who was the governor of Mississippi at the time. And governor said, you're rightfully elected, get back there and get your seat back. And so Peter put out a handbill to, call people, white and Black, to help support him to get his seat back. But when he did that, December 7th of 1874, the white people of the town got all in uproar because they thought that the Black people were coming in to cause harm, which wasn't the case. They were just coming to support Peter, since, there's a mob of 600 white people that ousted him out of office. So making sure he got back into office, but then a massacre occurred. So after the massacre, there was a congressional hearing that was held. And so I've been going through the testimonies of everyone that was affected or was part of the massacre. Many of the Black people that testified, they had lost their loved ones, their husbands, their sons, and so, or other people that just mentioned how their lives were threatened. And so right now, I am about to just go back over my notes for the first 200 pages of the testimonies I had already went through, and writing short bios, mapping out the timelines, comparing different testimonies. My intention as of now is to do this as a 3-book series. So much went on just in the 2 years from Peter being elected to the massacre to post-massacre. So there's just a lot happened. Even right before he was elected, everything leading up to the first election for him being elected. And there are a lot of players involved. There were quite a few other Black people that were accused of things, and they were indicted. And so the first 2 books will be dealing with a lot of that. Those particular people who are friends, some of them were friends of Peter Crosby. And but going through the actual testimony, um, I'm getting a lot of information too about the earlier times, especially, excuse me, the election that happened in August of 1874. A lot went down during that time. That probably could be a whole book in itself. So it was pretty, that election was pretty intense, or at least the things as far as people registering, trying to register to vote, um, people being held, um, being questioned coming into the city, even though they lived in the city. It was just a lot of various things going on. So right now, I don't know if you saw, I was been trying to see how I'm going to use Scrivener. I know I'm going to use Scrivener to write the book because that's what I use to write books. But I'm looking at it right now to see about really mapping out how I'm going to use as an organizational tool to just map out what I have regarding my notes from the first 200 pages. So I'm gonna get back in it. I see there's a couple of people here. Please feel free to drop in the chat what you're working on today, whether you're writing or just you're doing research or any other productivity things. And if you want to know more about Peter Crosby, in the description, I have a link to his bio. I was asked to be a contributor to enslaved.org, and which is led by Stephen Niven and Henry Louis Gates Jr. and Find Your Roots. And so, yeah, Stephen, when we first met years ago, he had not heard about Peter Crosby. So he asked me to be a contributor to that. And so, again, that link is in my bio, and you get more of a full scope versus what I'm saying about Peter Crosby. So now I'm going to go back into to this next sprint as I try to figure out how I'm going to start organizing this. Right now, I may just even be doing research on that before I even dive in and save the actual mapping out on Monday. Can you drop that? Good morning, Shanae. Okay, so different position. So I think this will be here. All righty, let's see who else is here. Welcome, Thorskill. Oh, it's good. Oh, good evening. Where are you located? You're working on your article. So, what country are you in? So now I am. Let's see. Okay. Uh, I've just started organizing some of my notes from, not some of my notes, but yeah, from the first 200 pages that I had already had gone over for the testimony. So now I'm going back to the top with Mayor O'Leary and just organizing the timeline of what he said or what happened and so forth. And I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm probably I really don't know how long it's going to take me to organize everything from the 200 pages that I read, but I will be back here next week, and that's what I'm gonna be working on. So I'll be back here next week, Monday at 5 a.m. Pacific time to 6 a.m. Pacific time, and continuing the journey. I'm glad and happy to now be in the stage of just of organizing. And once I've organized what, like the bios and the timelines of what, everyone said, and just kind of mapping that out, then I will go into the remaining 300 pages of the testimonies. And in those 300 pages, yay, I know, right? Shanae, yay for the organizing stage. I'm so happy about that. But I still got 300 more pages to go through. So regarding the testimonies, but that would be after I'm organizing this, because it was getting um, kind of muddled in my head with all the various testimonies. So I'm like, let me just go through, map it out. I'm putting it in my Scrivener document. So then when I'm ready to actually start writing and having my outline, it already be there. So I'm just transferring everything over. So yeah, so happy about that. So everyone have a wonderful weekend. Yeah, just enjoy. And oh, and this is Halloween. Happy Halloween. All right. Take care.